You wake up in a comfortable bed. You've got a decent job. People think you're doing fine. Some even envy you. So why does it still feel like something inside you is quietly dying? You smile in conversations. You post the right photos. You stay busy so no one notices. But when the noise stops, when the screen goes dark, when it's just you alone with your thoughts, that's when it hits you. This life that everyone says is good enough doesn't actually feel like living. If this just hit you in the chest, stay right here. Don't click away. Don't distract yourself again. Because what I'm about to say next might finally explain what no one else has been able to. You know what the most exhausting thing in the world is? Not physical labor, not working long hours, not even conflict. It's pretending you're okay when you're not. Waking up every morning, putting on that practiced smile, walking into work or school or your friend group acting you've got it all under control, when in reality there's this constant restlessness inside you. A heaviness, not the kind that makes you cry. No, crying would actually be a relief. It's worse than that because it's numb, silent, lingering. And the worst part, no one knows. People look at you and think they've got a good life. What could possibly be wrong? But that's exactly the problem. How do you explain to someone that your life looks good but doesn't feel good? How do you tell people, I'm not breaking down? I'm just slowly fading. You're existing, not living. Functioning, not flourishing. Smiling, but not feeling. You go to the same places, talk to the same people, make the same jokes, post the same highlights, and every day a little more of you drifts into autopilot. You don't remember the last time you woke up actually excited. Not just ready to go. Not just let's get it done. I mean excited like something alive was moving in your chest. Some days you wonder, was I always like this? Or did I slowly become this? You try to trace it back. Was it disappointment? Routine? Betrayal? Was it the moment life stopped surprising you? Or did you just settle somewhere along the way? Because that's the truth, isn't it? Somewhere between who you were and who you were supposed to become, you settled for surviving. You didn't mean to. No one ever chooses emptiness. It just happens little by little. You tell yourself, it's just a phase. I'm just tired. Things will get better once I get that raise, once I move out, once I get into a relationship, once I lose weight, once I finally catch a break. But those moments keep coming and they keep disappointing because your soul is starving and you're trying to feed it with achievements, distractions, and fake peace. Let me ask you something and be honest with yourself when you answer this. When was the last time you felt genuinely seen, not complimented, not validated, not given attention? I'm talking about seen, not for what you do, not for how useful you are, not for how put together you pretend to be. Seen for who you are when the act drops. Some of you can't even remember. And that's where the panic comes from. Not the loud, dramatic kind people notice. The quiet kind. The kind that whispers, is this really it? Is this all I'm ever going to feel? You know, what scares you more than failure? The thought that nothing might ever change. That one day you'll look back and realize your entire life was lived at 50%. Not tragic. Not glorious. Just lukewarm. Let me tell you something, and hear me clearly, your soul was not built for lukewarm. It was built for depth, for connection, for meaning. And the fact that you feel this discomfort, this restlessness, it's not a sign that something's wrong with you. It's a sign that something right inside you is still alive. That's not depression. That's a calling. Let's get brutally honest for a second. You've spent so much time trying to fix the symptoms of your emptiness that you never stopped to ask what's actually causing it. You change your wardrobe. You change your diet. You change your job. You change your relationship. You change your social media feed. But no matter how many surface level upgrades you make, the same hollow feeling keeps resurfacing. Why? Because deep down, you don't need more things to do. You need something worth living for. There's a difference between being busy and being alive. Busy people wake up with obligations. Alive people wake up with direction. Busy people count hours. Alive people lose track of them. Busy people escape their life through entertainment. Alive people love returning to their reality. So here's the question, which one are you? Busy or alive? Because most people today, they're not tired, they're unfulfilled, their exhaustion isn't from doing too much. It's from doing too little of what matters. Think about it. You're not drained from effort. You're drained from pretending. You're not exhausted from giving. You're exhausted from withholding. You're not numb because you felt too much. You're numb because you've stopped feeling altogether. And somewhere inside you, there's still a version of yourself that remembers. That remembers what it was like to laugh without thinking first, to dream without doing the math, to love without calculating the risks. You weren't always this guarded. You weren't always this distant. You weren't always this mechanical. So what happened? Did someone hurt you? Did life wear you down? Or did you slowly, quietly make a deal with comfort and call it peace? Because comfort is not peace. Comfort is sedation. It numbs you just enough to accept mediocrity. It soothes you just enough to stop fighting for more. It convinces you that at least nothing's wrong is good enough. But deep down, nothing's wrong is not the same as everything is right. You want joy. You want fire. You want to wake up one day and feel something real again. Well, here's the truth you've been avoiding. You cannot feel alive while living on autopilot. Something has to break. A routine, a mindset, a pattern, a silence. Not because you need chaos, but because you need awakening. So here's where the story turns. There comes a moment, and maybe this is your moment, where you stop running from the emptiness and finally face it, not distract it, not outrun it, not bury it, face it. Because emptiness isn't your enemy. It's a message. It's your soul saying, I was meant for more than this. Not more money, not more followers, not more comfort, more truth, more connection, more impact, more aliveness. And the longer you ignore that internal alarm, the louder it gets. That's why success stops satisfying you. That's why achievements feel temporary. That's why you keep asking yourself, is this it? It's not because something is wrong with you. It's because something is right within you. A part of you refuses to settle. So let's stop pretending. Stop pretending you're fulfilled just because you're busy. Stop pretending you're happy just because you're smiling. Stop pretending you're living just because you're functioning. There is no pride in silent misery. You don't get a trophy for holding it all together, and you don't need permission to change your life. All you need is honesty. So ask yourself, and don't look away, what is one thing in your life that looks successful but feels empty? A job, a relationship, your daily routine, and a deeper question, if you keep living the exact same way for 5 more years, will you be proud of it? Or haunted by it? Because clarity is the first form of courage. Once you tell the truth about your emptiness, you're no longer trapped by it. And that's where we go next. Let's be real. You don't actually hate silence. You're afraid of it. Because silence reveals everything noise helps you avoid. When it's quiet, the truth gets loud. That voice in your head starts asking questions you don't want to answer. Are you proud of who you've become? Do you even recognize yourself anymore? Is this life really yours? And instead of listening, what do? We reach for escape, not always in destructive ways, sometimes in ways society even praises. You open your phone, you scroll, you binge, you shop, you eat, you grind, you stay busy. Not because you're entertained, not because you're productive, but because you're avoiding. Distraction isn't just entertainment anymore, it's anesthesia. And here's the brutal truth. Most people don't want happiness. They want numbness. They don't want joy. They want relief. Because joy requires presence. Relief only requires stimulation. But stimulation is like sugar. It gives you a spike, then leaves you more depleted than before. Think about it. Have you ever scrolled on your phone for an hour and felt better afterward? Have you ever watched 6 episodes of something in a row and walked away fulfilled? Have you ever kept yourself endlessly busy and actually felt alive? No. Because distraction doesn't feed you. It drains you. It distracts you from your loneliness while deepening it. It silences your fears while multiplying them. It helps you avoid your emptiness while expanding it. And that's why deep down you're tired, not physically, not emotionally, spiritually tired, not in a religious sense, in a human sense, tired of living outside of yourself. So let me ask you something. When was the last time you were truly alone, without music, without noise, without scrolling, and you actually felt safe inside your own head? If you can't remember, that's not failure. That's your starting point. There's a reason your hand reaches for your phone before your mind even realizes it. You're not choosing distraction. You're conditioned to chase it. Somewhere along the way, the world convinced you that stillness means laziness, that boredom means failure, and that every second must be filled with stimulation or productivity. But let's expose the lie. You're not addicted to your phone. You're addicted to escaping yourself. You're not addicted to Netflix. You're addicted to forgetting your reality. You're not addicted to noise. You're addicted to never hearing what your heart is really saying. And what is your heart saying? Probably something like, please stop running. I'm right here. Just listen to me. Because deep down, you don't need more dopamine. You need direction. You don't need more entertainment. You need engagement. You don't need more distractions. You need devotion to something that matters. There's nothing wrong with enjoying music, shows, games, social media. But the moment they become your default shelter from reality, they stop being tools and start becoming traps. And that's how most people lose themselves, not in catastrophic failure, but in comfortable avoidance. They don't collapse, they dissolve, drip by drip, scroll by scroll, notification by notification, until their life becomes background noise to other people's lives. So here's your wake-up call. How much of your time is chosen? And how much is stolen? How often do you decide? And how often do you react? How many moments of your life have you actually experienced versus escaped? These questions aren't meant to shame you. They're meant to shake you. Because awakening doesn't start with motivation. It starts with embarrassment. That one moment where you look at yourself and say, I'm better than the way I've been living. So where do we go from here? Because this isn't just about scrolling less. It's not about deleting apps or going off the grid. That's surface level. This is about reclaiming ownership of your attention. Because attention is your life force. Where your attention goes, your life follows. And right now, if you're honest, you haven't been living. You've been watching yourself live, like you're observing your own existence from behind a glass wall. You go through your routine. You perform your roles. You respond to messages. You check the boxes. But when was the last time you felt fully present in your own life? The problem isn't that you don't know how to be present. You did once. You were born with that ability. Remember being a kid? You could stare at raindrops on a window like they were fireworks. You could run in circles for no reason and call it joy. You could sit with one friend and feel like the world disappeared. Presence wasn't a skill. It was your natural state. So what happened? Life kept getting louder, and you stopped fighting for your silence. You let the world convince you that stimulation is living. But here's the truth: silence isn't empty. It's where your real voice begins. And if you give yourself even a moment of stillness, even 5 minutes without noise, something powerful happens. Your mind stops racing. Your heart starts speaking. And suddenly you realize you're not as lost as you thought. You've just been out of range from your own signal. Which brings us to the next question, the one that will change everything. What happens when the noise finally fades and responsibility takes its place? Because distraction may numb you, but only purpose can wake you back up. And that's exactly where we're going next. Let's be honest. The world isn't just noisy. It's engineered to be loud. Everything around you, your phone, your feeds, your entertainment, even your conversations, is battling for one thing: your attention. Not your money, not your vote, not even your approval, your attention. Because if someone can control what you look at, they can influence what you think about. And if they can influence what you think about long enough, they can shape who you become. Look around. Every headline screams. Every app begs. Every voice online fights to be the one you listen to. And you know what's crazy? You've gotten so used to it that silence now feels uncomfortable. If there's no sound, you create one. If there's no stimulation, you reach for one. If there's a quiet moment, your brain panics like something's wrong. You've been trained to believe that stillness to emptiness. But here's the paradox: stillness isn't the absence of life. It's the doorway back to it. The world will tell you that your peace is found in consuming more. But your soul has been whispering something different for years now. And you've been ignoring it. You felt it. Late at night, in the shower, on a long drive without music. That strange ache, that quiet pull, that haunting little question: is this really all I meant for? And before it gets too real, you drown it. Scroll, swipe, cue another video, play another podcast, call it background noise. But deep down, you know what you're doing? You're not busy. You're hiding, not from the world, but from yourself. Let me tell you something nobody ever said to you growing up. You were not designed to be constantly entertained. You were built for meaning. You were built for connection. You were built for quiet moments that awaken depth, not distract you from it. Think about the people you admire, the ones with presence, the ones who feel solid, rooted, unshaken. They're not the loudest. They're not the funniest. They're not the most followed. They're the ones who don't need noise to feel alive, because they've done what most people never do. They listen to their own soul long enough to understand it. And now, the world can scream all it wants, but it can't shake them. So here's the real question. When was the last time you heard yourself think without anyone else's voice in your head? Not your friends. Not your parents. Not your favorite influencer. Not that looping line from a TikTok sound that's been living rent free in your brain.
Yeah.
Your real voice. Do you even know what it sounds like anymore? Because until you find it, everything you chase will feel just a little bit hollow. But don't worry. This isn't where the story ends. Because if your soul has been whispering all this time, what happens when it starts speaking loud enough that you finally can't ignore it anymore? There comes a moment, and maybe you've already tasted it, when the noise just stops working. When the distraction doesn't distract you anymore. The music's playing, but you're not listening. The video's rolling, but your mind is somewhere else. You're surrounded by stimulation, but you feel numb. That's not depression. That's not boredom. That's your soul finally refusing to be silenced. It's trying to tell you you've overdosed on comfort. Now it's time to wake up. Because here's the truth we don't admit. Entertainment isn't harmless. It doesn't just fill time. It eats hunger. You know what I mean? You could have gone for a walk. You could have called someone you miss. You could have started that thing you've been postponing for years. But instead, you fed yourself just enough dopamine to feel temporarily okay. and just enough regret to feel permanently stuck. And little by little, something dangerous happened. You stopped expecting more from life. Let's get even more real. You're not actually afraid of being alone. You're afraid of being alone with yourself. Because what if deep down you suspect something you don't want to face? What if you know you've played it safe? What if you know you've settled? What if you know you're living at 40% of what you're capable of, and distracting yourself from that truth has become easier than dealing with it? That's not failure. That's slavery, not physical, not financial, not imposed by anyone else. A slavery built out of comfort, a prison made of constant stimulation, and millions of people are living in it proudly, calling it freedom. But I'm going to say something that might sting if your peace depends on noise. You don't have peace. You have sedation. Peace is knowing that even in silence, you're not empty. Peace is being able to sit with your thoughts and not feel the urge to escape them. Peace is not the absence of chaos. It's the presence of clarity. And clarity can only be found in stillness. That's why breakthrough moments don't happen in crowded rooms. They happen in long walks, sleepless nights, quiet mornings, deep stares at an empty ceiling. Not because nothing is happening, but because everything finally is one day. And I pray it's soon. The noise won't scare you anymore. You'll turn off the music and your brain won't panic. You'll put down your phone and your hands won't twitch for it. You can sit in silence. And instead of feeling empty, you'll feel ready. Ready to hear what your soul, your real self, has been trying to say all along. And when that day comes, when silence stops feeling like an enemy and starts feeling like home, that's when the real transformation begins. Because now, finally, you're not living by reaction. You're living by conviction. And the world can scream all at once. You've remembered something most people never discover. The loudest voice in your life shouldn't be the world. It should be you. Let's be brutally honest for a second. Most people aren't actually stuck. They're just waiting for motivation, waiting for permission, waiting for timing, waiting for clarity, waiting for life to somehow walk over, knock on their door, and say, hey, ready to begin now. But life doesn't send invitations. It sends interruptions. It won't politely whisper. It'll eventually shove. The question is, will you move before the shove? Or will you wait until the discomfort becomes unbearable? Because that moment will come. The moment when scrolling no longer numbs. When sleep doesn't fix exhaustion. When comfort starts to feel like poison. That's not the end of you. That's the beginning. That's your life saying, if you don't change something, I will. You know what's crazy? People will spend more time picking a Netflix show than choosing the kind of person they want to be. They'll plan dinners, playlists, vacations, but never sit down and say, what kind of human do I actually respect? Not what job do I want? Not what income do I want? Not what lifestyle do I want? No. What kind of backbone do I want to have? What kind of presence do I want to bring into a room? What kind of story do I want to be able to tell when I'm old? You know why that question is terrifying? Because the moment you answer it, you lose the right to stay the same. Look, no one is coming to rescue you. Not motivation, not luck, not some magical perfect time. If your life changes, it's going to be because you looked yourself in the mirror and said, enough, I refuse to die on autopilot, not physically dead, alive, walking, breathing, but emotionally flatlined, existing instead of living, drifting instead of choosing, laughing without joy, working without purpose, speaking without connection. And everyone thinks that's normal. It's not normal. It's numbness. Here's the real truth. You don't need a plan right now. You need a decision that says, comfort is no longer my goal. Aliveness is. My aliveness won't come from more rest. It will come from responsibility. Not the heavy kind, the noble kind, the kind that says, these hands were made to build. This heart was made to carry. This mouth was made to speak. This life was made to matter. So no, don't wait for confidence. Act before you feel ready. Don't wait for clarity. Move, and clarity will follow. Don't wait for approval. Respect yourself first and let the world recalibrate. Because the hardest step is not the work itself. The hardest step is declaring, I am no longer available for a life beneath me. Let me leave you with something simple. Not advice. Not a checklist. Just a question. One that won't leave you alone after you hear it. Ready. If your life stayed exactly the same for the next 5 years, would you be proud of who you'd become? Not proud of what you owned. Not proud of what people thought of you. Not proud of how put together you looked online. Would you be proud of the human you'd be living with? The one in your head, the one behind the jokes, behind the achievements, behind the distractions, the one you meet every night when no one else is around. Would you be proud of them or haunted by them? Listen, success without spirit is hollow. Comfort without connection is starvation. Movement without meaning is exhaustion. The world will convince you to shine on the outside, even if you're crumbling on the inside. Don't fall for it. You don't need to impress people. You need to wake yourself up. Because deep down, you already know you were built for more than numb scrolling, more than quiet misery, more than pretending everything's fine while your soul whispers, is this really it? So here's what I'll ask you to do. Not right now, but soon. When this video ends, don't click the next one. Don't rush to noise. Sit in the silence for just 60 seconds. And ask yourself out loud if you have to, if I refuse to live like this anymore, what story will I start writing instead? Don't overthink it. Don't plan it. Just feel it. Because change doesn't start with strategy. It starts with honesty. And maybe for the first time in a long time, you'll finally hear your own heartbeat again. If this stirred something in you, don't let it fade. Subscribe, share it with the one person you know needs to hear it. But most importantly, don't go back to sleep. Your life is calling. And this time, answer